when God closes a door, you have to understand is what when the Most High closes a door, it's for your own good. You know, a lot of people they like to debate with God and say, God, why would you allow this to happen? Why would you allow that to happen? Why wouldn't you allow me to get that job? Why wouldn't you allow me to get that car? Why wouldn't you allow me to date that person, to marry that person? Listen, y'all, you gotta understand is that when God's closing a door, when God's shutting something, He's only protecting your good. He's only trying to save you from something that could possibly destroy you. You know, you should be thankful that God's looking out for you because many people, they've been in bad situations and they did not walk away from it. You know, you got people to where they got with the wrong person. You know, a woman got with the wrong man got with the wrong woman, end up destroying their life, right? They end up going through divorce. They end up going through all these different child support problems. And a lot of them have regrets in marrying that person and being with that person. You got some people to where they got friends, right? You sometimes wonder why your friends are why is God removing your friends around your circle? Guess what? God's closing the door because maybe you've outgrown those friends. You know, the higher you go in God, you gotta understand the higher you go in God, not everybody could go with you. Some people they gotta remain in the past while you go towards your destiny, while you go towards your future. And you can't bring everybody with you to your future. It's not just gonna work out like that. Some people, they were once a part of your life, but they're not meant to be part of your life forever. Some people, they're meant to stay in the past. They're meant to stay behind. Because God's bringing you to another door. When God's closing doors, He's always gonna lead you to something that's better. But the main aspect you have to understand is that when God closes a door, please do not open it. Do not open it. Because when you choose to open that door that God closed, now you're operating disobedience. And now you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your own actions. Because you have to understand, God Himself is saving you. He's protecting you from something. He's protecting you from something that could destroy you. That could destroy you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Always trust God's plans for your life because God knows what's best for you. He knows the best person to give you in terms of marriage, friendship, the best job to give you, the best business, everything. Of course, faith without works is dead. You know, you can't just sit down and say, oh, God gonna give me a job, I don't need to do nothing. Of course, you gotta still go out there and fill out applications and all that. But still though, if God's closing a door in your life, let Him close it. It might seem rough at first, but guess what? God got something better in store for you. Because one thing about God, He don't forsake His people. God not gonna just leave you behind. God not just going to close one door and don't have a plan for you. Please. God knows everything about you before the day you were even born. God knows everything about you before He even created the whole universe. Before He even formed the whole world, God already knew who you were. God already know who you were going to be friends with, who He ordained for you to marry, who He ordained for you to work for, who He ordained for you to have a business for, and all that. He ordained for you to live. Listen, when God's closing a door, let that door close. Because God could be saving you from something. Some of you people, you're probably living in a certain city, right? A certain state, a certain country. You can't get by. You're wondering, God, I'm applying to all these jobs. God, why is everybody leaving me? I have no more doors in the city. Everything is closing on me. Maybe God told you to move. Maybe God told you that's not where He got in store for you. That your hometown, wherever you live in, that's not His destiny for you. That's not His plan for your life. Maybe God got blessings for you in the city that close by. Maybe God got blessings in another state. Maybe God got blessings in another country. You know, but you have to, of course, know God's plan for your life. But this is why it's important to always be steady and always be stable in God. Because when you're stable in God, when you're following God, you already know that God's going to remove certain things from your life. Because He try to make you stronger. He try to make you stronger. He try to bring you. He wants you to mold. He will mold you into who He wants you to be. Because remember, it's no longer your life no more. When you give your life to Christ, it's not your life no more. Your life now belongs to God. And since your life now belongs to God, you know what that means. That means that your future, everything is in His hands now. Your plans is in His hands. You can't be talking about, oh God, I'm about to go marry that woman tomorrow. Oh God, I'm about to go be friends with that person. Without getting God's permission first. Without consulting God. Without using your eyes of discernment. Because guess what? Since you're following God now, He might remove those people from your life. Because that might not be what He got in store for you. So whose plan are you going to follow? God's plan or your plan? Remember, you're a human being. You don't know what you truly want because people, their desires change all the time. One day a man will want this type of woman. Next day he'll want a different type of woman. Next day he want a different type of woman. A woman wants this type of man. Next day she wants another man. Next day she wants a different type of man, and so on. People there, they change often. You know, a lot of people, they like chameleons. They change colors often. One moment they want this, next moment they want something else. You know, that's why it's important to have like God lead your life, because God knows what's best for you. Because even though God might not exactly always give you what you want, He knows what's best for you. That's why God's gonna close certain doors in your life. Because God sees the future. God sees things that you might not see. Maybe those same people in your life, they're talking behind your back. Maybe those same people in your life, they're disrespecting you. Maybe those same people in your life, they saying stuff about you to other people. They starting rumors. It maybe it's best for God to remove them people. It's best for whatever God's doing. Because God, one thing about God, God knows everything. God knows what's best for you. That's why it's important that when it comes to this walk with God, you give God the key. You know how when you get in a car, you got your key, you know, you start the car and you drive, right? Well, when it comes to God's plan, when it comes to your life, it's best to like give God the key. Let Him be the driver. Let God turn the steering wheel for you. You don't try to figure it out. You know, that's like a person, right? Basically, this is how it is when you try to do stuff your own way. That's like, for example, you live in, let's say, Boston, Massachusetts, and you looking to head to Los Angeles, California. You ain't got no GPS. You know, you ain't got no Google Maps. You ain't got no Waze. You ain't got no Android Auto, no Apple CarPlay. You ain't even got no map with you. And you can't read signs. Let's say your person's blind, right? That's like you driving a car from Boston to Los Angeles blind. You don't know where you're going. You can't see. You don't have no directions. You don't have nobody telling you what to do. You just driving while blind. That's how it is when you try to do stuff your own way. You be going in circles, not even know where you're going, not even know where to go. But you see, when you follow God, give God the key, He take right over. People talk about self-driving cars like Tesla and those cars, right? Guess what? When you give God the key, He bring you right to your destination. He bring you right to where He wants you to be. You know, God, He brings you right exactly what's going to be best for your life. Of course, we understand, guys. When doors close, it's not always easy. It sometimes can be painful. Because sometimes you might have known those people for years, right? You might have been friends with that guy for like 10 years. You might have been friends with that woman for like 20 years. But guess what? One thing about God, when He replaces something, He going to always give you something that's much better than before. He going to give you something that's way better than what you probably expected. God going to give you something that you probably didn't even expect. So when God's closing a door, allow Him to close it. Allow God to do what He's doing. Do not try to fight against God. Because if you try to do this life on your own, I'm telling you, one thing I can say personally is that people who try to live life off of their own will, people who try to do stuff their own way, they always fail in the end. You know why they always fail? Because they never follow God. They try to do stuff of their own will. And one thing about the enemy, he loves when you try to do stuff your way, because he plays in that. Oh, Satan, he loves when you try to follow your own plan. You know why? Because Satan knows as a human being, if you don't got God involved, he could easily destroy you. That's why Satan be sending all these men to destroy women. Satan be sending these women to destroy these men. Satan be sending these false friends to come and destroy you, try and put you down. And many people fall for you. You know why? Because they're not following God's plan. That's how a person could be in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 divorces. How can you have that many divorces as a person? Like that's real wild to me. But guess what? It's not really shocking either, because many people, they doing stuff their own way. They want to go on their own path. They want to do what they want to do. They don't want to do what God's telling them to do. So since many people want to go on their own path, they're going to get exactly what comes with it. And what comes with it, the consequences is not always pretty. Because many people right now, they didn't allow God to move in their life. They didn't allow God to shut certain doors. And guess what? You got people whose lives have been destroyed. They lost money. They lost houses. You got men who've been taken to child support court by a woman. Woman talk about she wants half his money and half his stuff, and the man had that stuff before he met her. Like what? What type of craziness is that? You got people who are even sitting behind prison because they did not allow God to shut certain doors. God probably told you to leave those friends behind. Leave that woman behind. You never wanted to listen. Now you got caught up in criminal activity. Now you're sitting in prison. Now you got people lying in a grave right now, because they want to stay around people God said to cut off. Next, they end up getting hurt, they end up getting killed, and they lost their life. Listen, y'all, we're in a season where God's he's separating the wheats and the tares. And you don't want to be one of those people who's lukewarm when you see God in Judgment Day. Because, of course, as the Bible says, he will spit out lukewarm Christians. As the Bible says, disobedience is like the sin of witchcraft. Don't be disobedient. God knows what He's doing. Allow Him to work in your life. But nevertheless, if you like this video, give it a like, share it, subscribe, click the all bells so you get all notifications when I post a video, and have a blessed day.